Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monday Lunchtime Digest. Hi, Micah.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you. And I know we missed last week because of Labor Day. I hope everyone had a great holiday, and it is so good to be here today. So happy Monday, everyone. And we have been talking about a lot of things. So, first thing, before we get into more things to talk about, we've been keeping an eye on the Senate Interim Study 25-077, which is studying the consolidation of medical boards, and that is including the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health, Oklahoma Board of Social Work, Oklahoma Board of Licensed Alcohol and Drug Counselors, and the Oklahoma Board of Examiners of Psychologists, among others. And that currently is not scheduled, so we are keeping an eye on that. As soon as it is scheduled, we will let everyone know. The other one that has been really on the radar for mental health professionals is the interim study in the House 25-018, which is mental health and managed care in Oklahoma. And that one is not scheduled as of yet either. So whenever any one of those is scheduled, we will let you know. The other thing that has happened is Oklahoma Department of Mental Health has recently decided to reduce or cut several contracts. And Hayley and I were talking about that right before we started the stream. So, Hayley, go ahead, kind of share what you have learned about that so far.
And so the interim commissioner of ODMH SAS, which is Greg Slovanik, so he was formerly he was placed in charge of the Oklahoma VA to kind of clean up their budget things. And he was put in place as interim commissioner by Kevin Stitt after former Commissioner Ali Friesen was removed from office earlier this year. And so, in an effort to save money, because as we know, the ODMH SAS has been going through a budget shortfall crisis over this last year or so, he and his staff have reviewed about 573 different contracts. And these are agencies that have contracted with Oklahoma Department of Mental Health Substance Abuse Services, and they have chosen to cut about 312 of these contracts. And so it could be that multiple organizations or one organization could have multiple contracts. So Red Rock might have multiple contracts with ODMH to fund different services or to fund different programs, or it can be that different agencies have been cut. I think Micah is going to pull up a list of all the agencies and programs that are looking to be affected by these cuts. But basically, these organizations were sent an email about a week and a half ago, letting them know that their funding would not be renewed, and that basically they had 30 days to figure out what's next. And so this all comes from NonDoc, and Micah has posted this article on our Facebook page and beyond. But according to NonDoc, who had talked to Wendy Vore, the executive director of OCARDA, OCARDA's been going to be losing about 69% of their funding, because 69% of their funding comes from these ODMH contracts. And according to Ms. Vore, this will effectively shut down the organization. Another organization that's looking at receiving cuts is Parents Helping Parents, which we know provides a lot of advocacy and support for parents and loved ones of those who are facing addiction. And so these cuts, along with a lot of the federal cuts and mandates that have come from the big, beautiful bill, have really put a lot more stress on the Oklahoma mental health and substance abuse community. And so, according to Oklahoma lawmakers, from their understanding, ODMH was going to be maintaining business as usual until February, whenever the legislators are in session. And so in February is whenever the legislators hold their budget meetings and they start to look at appropriating budget for the next fiscal year. Lawmakers were under the impression that ODMH was going to wait until then before they made any cuts, to give lawmakers time to give them an increase in budget if needed, to appropriate more funding if needed, and also to see how things are going under the new administration. And so apparently lawmakers are blindsided about this decision, and we're not informed beforehand that this email is going out to providers letting them know that the contracts have been cut. So this basically gives lawmakers about 30 days to figure out, well, what is next? And so it could be that there's a special session that's called. It could be that nothing happens and these contracts are cut. We don't really know. But as of right now, if nothing is done, these contracts are set to expire at the end of the month, which is going to be a lot of funding loss for Oklahoma mental health and substance abuse service providers.
Yes, and as Haley has mentioned, so 312 are scheduled to not be renewed, and that's going to be October 1st is whenever they're going to lose their funding. 122 will have reduced funding, and then 128 contracts will be renewed completely. So they're on that non-doc article, which Haley has already said is been posted on our Facebook page and then also on our LinkedIn page. In that non-doc article, there is a link that you can click on that will take you to the page that lists all the contracts that are either been not renewed, renewed, or partially renewed. 20 pages there. The quality is varies from page to page. Some pages the quality is pretty good. Other pages the quality is lacking. Page 2 specifically. And I told Haley before we started, my luck would be my program would be on page 2, and I'd be trying to figure out what does it say. So a lot of programs that are losing their funding, and so this email went out right before Labor Day, surprised a lot of providers, and as Haley said, surprised a lot of legislators because they thought that they were going to come back and talk about these contracts that were scheduled to be severed, given a heads up ahead of time to decide if they wanted to appropriate more funds. But instead, they were surprised and given this list of ones that ODMH is just looking at severing or reducing. I think it is worth noting, reading the quote here at the end of this article. This is by Zach Stoikov, who is the executive director of Healthy Minds Policy Institute. And he said that the ODMHSAS plan goes in the bucket of difficulties when it comes to accessing mental health care in Oklahoma, especially as providers brace for federal funding cuts. And so this is his quote: "As we await the impact of the one big beautiful bill and other federal cuts, we're continuing to deal with the Department of Mental Health budget crisis, and this is the next wave of that. We're going to see the state cuts, and then we'll have ongoing cuts, very likely from declining revenue sources from the federal government. It's just going to be more and more difficult to provide care in an environment where the need is ever growing." So this is, as he stated, looks like just the first wave of cuts on the state level, and then looking at federal cuts and how our providers going to be able to continue these services. So, Haley, any more thoughts about that?
Well,
Kinda
even though the article, oh, go ahead. What did you say?
I said, any more thoughts about that? Kind of doom and gloom.
Yeah, well, even though the article says that a lot of the programs that are being affected are those that provide education rather than direct care, in the end, those places still provide training, case management. They still provide peer support, and so though it's not necessarily direct care that's the most effective, these are still vital programs, and so I think that this is a great time to segue into our next agenda item, Micah, which was talking about connecting with your legislators. And so last week, I had the privilege of going to a training on the Oklahoma legislative process, and it was through Oklahoma State University. It was a fantastic training, but something that we learned as we're talking about, the ins and the outs of how bills become laws and what are interim studies, and talked about the importance of constituents contacting their lawmakers. And so I don't know if you all have ever been to the Capitol before or seen our legislators in action. If not, you should go see it during the legislative season, which again, that's between February and May, but a lot of the action happens in March. So that's the best time to really go if you want to see lawmakers in action. But whenever there is a bill that they are voting on, every lawmaker has a little screen on their desk that shows them for the particular bill what their constituents have said, yay or nay. It shows them a little screen that says this many constituents said yes, this many constituents say no. And of course, lawmakers are supposed to vote in accordance to what their constituents want. So constituent is anyone who lives within their district. And so if you are, like for example, mine is Representative Harris, as he represents me in the House of Representatives. Micah, who represents you? Is it Osborne? Represents you?
Osborne.
Osborne?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I were to make my case, I'd call Representative Harris's office. He would call Representative Osborne's office, because that's whose screen I would show up on. If I'm for a bill, against a bill, for an action, against an action. And so whenever they go to vote on a bill, it shows them how many constituents vote yay or nay. And so that just highlights the importance of us, whenever we are for or against an initiative, to contact our lawmakers. Now, because our votes do matter. Whatever we say does matter. They are made aware. And ways that you can do that, of course, contact us forms on their websites. You can send them an email through their congressional site. So you need to email them through their Oklahoma legislative email address, or call their office. If you are uncomfortable possibly getting them on the phone, if it makes you nervous to actually talk to your lawmaker or their staff, call them after hours and leave a message. But just know that that shows that your voice really matters whenever you call, because they see that reflected in the numbers. And so as we are looking at these interim studies and we're getting closer and closer to February, I think it'll be here before we know it, keep that in mind, that the best way to get your voice heard is to contact your lawmaker, have that relationship if you can, but at least make sure your voice is heard by giving them an email or a phone call, because that does matter.
And so in your training, it is those direct ways that you mentioned: the phone call, email their office at the state capitol, filling out a contact form on their website at the state capitol, but not through social media. So if they post something on social media and you make a comment on social media, this stinks and you should be against it, that's something that necessarily won't end up on that number in their screen. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you can still do that. I mean, I'm sure my lawmakers know very well what my opinions are, but that doesn't necessarily count towards that number. And so if you really want your voice to be heard on Capitol Hill, it's important for you to contact their office.
All right. Thank you so much, Hayley, for that really good piece of information. So as Hayley said, find your representative's number and you can call them after hours and just leave your comments on their voicemail, and then it will get added to that tally then whenever they're making that vote. So Hayley, do we have a winner for this week's drawing?
We do. Our winner this week is Angie Burton Wright. Yay, Angie.
Hey, yay, Angie. So what did Angie win?
So Angie has won a free on-demand course with the Oklahoma Counseling Institute.
Hey, congratulations, Angie. And also recently we had our Whimsical Wednesday, and we had that at around midnight here in Edmond. So got to meet with other mental health providers up here. It was really great to see them. Kayla Jones won that game that night. So Kayla won free continuing education because she came to Whimsical Wednesday and played our game and won our game. So congratulations to Kayla Jones for that.
Yes, our next Whimsical Wednesday, the location will be announced soon, but save the date. It'll be Wednesday, October 1st.
Wednesday, October 1st. And so it's always the first Wednesday of the month. And so we will let everyone know soon where that's going to be.
Yes. And so if you'd like to, go ahead, Micah.
Oh, no, go ahead, Hayley.
Oh, so if you want to be like Kayla and win continuing education at our in real life and in person, I guess, come to our Whimsical Wednesdays October 1st. But if you'd like to be like Angie and win through the Monday Lunchtime Digest, you can do one of three or all three things like Angie did. You can like this post, you can share this post, or you can comment your answer to today's question. Every time you do one of those three things, not only do you help us grow, help us be seen by others, we also get entered into a chance to win next week's prize. And so that being said, our question for this week is, what fall sport are you most looking forward to watching? I know we have just kicked off football season, hockey season, collegiate hockey season starts off this next week. Also, the Major League Baseball's World Series starts in October. So we have a lot of fall sports to look forward to. So I'll ask you first, Micah, what sport are you looking forward to watching this fall?
Well, I have for a long time not been a sports watcher. And so my wife and I just recently started watching sports. And luckily we have Jimmy here, who's one of our therapists that knows a lot about sports. So I ask him any questions that I have about rules or anything. Really digging football these days. And so specifically pro football, I think I enjoy that more than college necessarily. Mm-hmm. So pro football, maybe some college football. That's what I'm most looking forward to. So Hayley, how about you? What sport do you like watching?
So I love hockey. I love going to UCO's hockey games. So my sister and I have gone to professional games, and they're fine, but there's something great about being in a little college arena. So the OU and UCO have a big rivalry, which is wild. You wouldn't think that they're in the same bracket, but in hockey they are. And so 2 miles down from my house is the Arctic Edge Arena, where they play at least a few times a year. And so we love to go stand right up against the glass and watch the hockey games. It's very exciting.
Oh, fun. Are there as many fights in a college hockey?
More, way more. I've seen
Really?
way more fights at the college level than at the professional level. I think the professional level, I have to worry about too many fines. The college level, especially the OU and UCO games, we have seen so much violence. We've seen people ejected. We've seen people get their helmets thrown off and punched in the face. We've seen many other exciting things. So, yes, the college hockey games, way better than professional by a
Oh,
country mile.
oh, wow. All right. Well, there you go. We'd love to
And
hear.
$10.
We'd love to hear what your favorite sport is in the fall, or if you are not a sport person, just say that you're not a sport person. Any comment that you make will be entered into the drawing. And also, as Hayley said, like or share, and you'll be entered into the drawing. And so we really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you all so much for your support.
And as always, anytime that you attend one of our in-person workshops, you attend a live webinar, you watch an on-demand course, you watch our Monday Lunchtime Digest, you tell a friend or colleague about us. Anytime you do those things, and you are helping to support our mission of providing quality continuing education and relevant news for Oklahoma mental health professionals. So we thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you, and have a great week.
Everyone have a good week. Bye-bye.